Welcome to Hatman Strikes Back Daily Boxing News. Now, shout out to Mr. Luca because he left a comment on a video I uploaded yesterday saying that the Moses Itama Dillian Whyte fight is on Dazn pay-per-view. Now, I went to the Dazn website to check this out, and this is what it says. Moses Itama versus Dillian Whyte and the whole fight card will be available to stream live on Dazn in over 200 countries across the globe via a Dazn subscription. But then when you click the hyperlink, it takes you to a page where you are prompted to purchase the event. So what seems to be going on here is because when you purchase a Dazn pay-per-view, you get an automatic subscription, they can technically claim on their website that a subscription is all that's required to watch this event. That's very misleading in my opinion, because to me, reading it would seem to suggest that if you're already subscribed to Dazn, you could watch this event at no extra cost. But that apparently is not the case. I would like Dazn to really clarify this, because if it is indeed pay-per-view, it's an event that I will not be purchasing. And I'm somebody who has purchased countless pay-per-views, both on Dazn, TNT, and BT as it was previously, Sky Sports. I am a serial pay-per-view purchaser, but I will not be purchasing this one. I don't think a fight between a prospect and a washed-up old contender is worth the asking price. Yes, I'm interested to see the fight, but not interested enough to want to pay whatever the price is going to be. £25, $25? No. One of the issues I've had with Dazn over the past year, 18 months or so, is that they've been spamming us with pay-per-views. This was a company which was supposed to be the pay-per-view killer, the Netflix of sport. If they ever did do a pay-per-view, it was supposed to be reserved only for mega fights, historic world title unifications and so on between big cash cow fighters. This is not that. Now, I understand Dazn have a business to run. They may have had to change their business model due to unforeseen circumstances, such as the global shutdown a few years ago, which hurt a lot of businesses. They may have been faced with a choice between folding the business, selling it, or changing their business model, because Dazn are massively in the red, by the way, financially. They've pumped astronomical amounts of money into their boxing division, signing fighters and putting on shows and all this type of stuff. Len Blavatnik at one point had to put in 3 or 4 billion of his own money to keep Dazn afloat. So I get it, but Dazn also have to get it that the public are not going to appreciate the things that they're doing right now, making it very difficult for people to cancel their subscriptions, putting fights and shows, which should be included in the monthly subscription price, on pay-per-view instead. There is very little content on Dazn worthy of the subscription cost, in my opinion. I'm talking about boxing content here. Most things that are worth watching now are behind a pay-per-view paywall. It is absurd the amount of pay-per-views Dazn are spamming us with. There are rumors that even Edgar Berlanga versus Hamza Shiraz is going to be on pay-per-view. That's ridiculous. You've had so much talk over the years from television execs, boxing promoters, and so on about trying to combat illegal streaming. Well, guess what? Putting a fight like this on pay-per-view is only going to encourage it. Spamming the public with endless pay-per-view events is only going to encourage it. Furthermore, here we have a fighter in Moses Itauma who has a buzz among hardcore boxing fans, but he's not yet a crossover star. He isn't known to the broader public. He needs exposure. But yet his first fight against a recognizable name is behind an additional pay-per-view paywall. Additional for existing Dazn subscribers, as far as I understand it. I hope Dazn come out and say, actually, it's all been a big misunderstanding. This fight won't be on pay-per-view. I hope they do that. But as it appears right now, it would seem as though this will be a pay-per-view event. And of course, there's an undercard with Nick Ball and whatever, but that is still not, at least for my money, pay-per-view fare. Now, there was some talk by Turki Al-Sheikh of making pay-per-views much cheaper a few months ago. Some people are wondering whether he's gone back on his word. Well, to my knowledge, Turki Al-Sheikh only owns a 10 or 20% stake in Dazn, and that will give him some influence. But he's ultimately not going to be calling the shots on the financials as far as what Dazn chooses to charge subscribers and give them as part of their subscription package. A 10 or 20% stake in a company is not going to give you that kind of sway. It gives you a seat at the table, but you don't get the final say. So unless Turkey and the Saudis are willing to continue to make enormous losses on these shows, then I have to imagine these pay-per-views are going to continue at these relatively expensive prices. I was always baffled by the people who thought that Saudi involvement in boxing was some type of lark for them and they didn't care about making money. Of course they care about making money. The mischaracterization of the Saudis is quite bizarre. Mischaracterization by, Western boxing fans is quite bizarre. What the Saudis are doing, not just with boxing, but investing in many other sports, is they are attempting to diversify their economy beyond oil and natural gas. That's what they're attempting to do. That's why they've opened the country up for tourism and introduced all these reforms where people are now allowed to go to the cinema, because cinemas were banned before in Saudi Arabia. Now people can go cinema. They've got all these Western artists performing in Saudi Arabia, WWE, golf, all these sports. You think they're doing all that for a lark? No, they're doing it because it is part of a long-term plan to diversify the economy of Saudi Arabia. They've looked at what their neighbors in the UAE have done, in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and so on, and they're trying to take a leaf out of their book. For those of you who don't know, the economy of Dubai is not primarily based on oil. Very little of it is based on natural resources. They have successfully diversified away from oil, and that is what the Saudis are attempting to do. Will they be successful? Time will tell, but that's what they're attempting to do. The initial overspend on boxing was just to try and corner the market. Once they feel like they have the market cornered, the purse strings are going to get tightened. The fighters aren't going to be paid as much as they were previously, at least not for ordinary fights. They're going to want boxing to be profitable, economically viable over the long term. Therefore, if they don't want to charge any more than, let's say, $10 for pay-per-views, Dazn are going to look at them and say, well, not only are you going to have to pay for everything then, but we're going to have to give you a much smaller cut of the pay-per-view revenue. In fact, we might even have to keep all of the pay-per-view revenue and give you none of it. And you just try and recoup from, ticket sales, merchandising. Those are the types of conversations I imagine would have happened behind the scenes between the Saudis and Dazn. Like I said already, Turkey doesn't have a big enough stake in the company, as far as I'm aware, to have the final say on what pay-per-view prices are, subscription prices, how many pay-per-views there are, etc., etc. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Moses Itauma versus Dillian Whyte apparently being on pay-per-view. Definitely not an event I'll be buying, and definitely the kind of event which, in my opinion, will only encourage illegal streaming. But what say you? Leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Are you surrounded by mindless bots in human form who adhere to the norm and blindly conform? Who swallow all the mainstream BS and actually ridicule you for questioning things? Do you wish you had more free-thinking individuals in your life to network and converse with? Well, look no further. We're right here. Come and join the Brotherhood of Reason on Patreon. You'll gain access to my weekly topical content where we take deep dives on an endless variety of subjects, as well as my vast back catalogue of podcasts, videos, interviews, movie decodings, and my Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You'll also get to talk and network with myself and hundreds of other people in our members chat. You can enjoy all this via the Patreon app or on desktop, and download all my podcasts in high-quality MP3. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store, or simply visit patreon.com on a web browser. Then head on over to my page and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. All the links are in the description box below. And just a quick money-saving tip for Apple users. If you purchase your Patreon subscription on the desktop site or on Android, then you'll avoid the ridiculous 30% fee that Apple charges for purchases made on the iOS app. So if you're on iPhone or iPad, save yourself some money by buying your subscription on the actual Patreon website or on Android, because it's a lot cheaper. Once you've made that initial purchase, you can then use the Patreon app on your iPhone or iPad thereafter to access and enjoy your content as normal.